Welcome to Two Bitches in a Broom podcast. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode. And the topic that we are going to get into for this week is going to be deja vu and deja rêvé. Did I say that right?
Yep. Yep.
I literally just asked you, and then immediately my brain was like, dump it.
No, I know.
So, the difference, first of all, what is it? The difference between the two and experiences. So we get a better understanding of when we're having either one and working with either of those types of energies. So,
Yeah.
do you want to go and get started on the difference, the
Yeah.
definition queen of
Yeah.
the two?
The definition queen. So I think a lot of people have already experienced deja vu. Um, I think most of us have, and that's the whole point of doing this podcast, is because there's a lot of people that are experiencing it more and more often, more frequently. But deja vu is actually French for the word already seen. It describes like this eerie feeling that you have experienced a situation before, even though it's happening for the first time. And most of the time it's considered to be like unsettling, but also intriguing. It makes you go, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's deja vu. So déjà rêvé, that term translates from French to already dreamed. So unlike déjà vu, déjà rêvé involves the sensation that you've already dreamed about your current experience or situation before it actually happened. Um, I think déjà rêvé is commonly less commonly discussed, but I think it's equally fascinating, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it just simply occurs when a real life event evokes like a memory of a dream that seems to have predicted the event. Okay, it's not prophesizing, it's totally different than that. But it kind of blurs and blends the lines between our dream world and our waking state. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to throw another question at you
Okay.
because it just popped in my head, and I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure this is going to be going through the minds of those listening and watching. What is the difference between deja rêvé and prophesizing? So, what makes each one different? Because I can hear somebody saying, well, then what is prophesizing?
Okay. So, prophesizing is when you are knowingly having visions that are predicting future outcomes. That's what prophesizing is.
Okay.
And that's something that both myself and Krys have personally experienced. And there is a knowingness that when you have that experience, there's no denying it whatsoever. It is so concrete in your soul that there is no way anybody can convince you that this is not going to happen. Where deja rêvé, it it does not feel like that. You're not even
Mm-hmm.
aware that it's a predictive outcome. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't even remember the dream until something happens. And then you're like, wait a minute, didn't I dream this happen?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. So it
Yeah,
really, it kind of hits you, at least in my experience, it kind of hits you like deja vu,
sure.
where when it, as soon as it happens, because even as we're talking right now, my whole mind is going, holy shit, like I've really had way more deja rêvé than I gave credit to, because it, for me, it does kind of hit you like deja vu, where I kind of pause, or you feel kind of like a out of body experience, a hit, and I get lost in the sauce for a second, and I think, wait a minute, this is familiar. I swear I dreamt this. before.
Right.
So I feel like, yeah, I think there's a lot of people that can just lump it into the deja vu because it does, when it happens, it kind of throws you off a little bit. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? Like,
Yeah.
you know, versus prophesizing where, there's, it is very much different feeling. It is, doesn't hit you like that, at least for me, doesn't,
Right.
and nothing of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, you can feel, at least for me, all, your clairs and everything activated, and your how you're receiving when it's prophesizing versus
Yeah.
the deja rêvé. But yeah, that is, it's very interesting. And
It is.
I feel like there is, uh with the veil thinning or going away, in this new energy, we're opening up to so much more than in the past. And even just, I say this in the nicest way, but even just like the regular lay person, not in the metaphysical world, are having these kinds of experiences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. Which is why, because I kept seeing it in social media, and I follow one particular person on social media, and she does kind of some woo-woo stuff. And she was talking about it. And I said, oh, I'd love to do that and actually give definition and examples behind that so people understand what you're probably experiencing and you're like, what the heck is that? I think
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
also from a psychology standpoint, what I think is interesting is from a psychology standpoint, deja vu is considered a memory anomaly, if I can speak. So it's where they believe that the brain has mistakenly interpreted the current experience as a recollection of a past one. But neurologically, they theorize that it's linked to a temporary glitch in the brain's memory, particularly the temporal lobe, which
Hmm.
is responsible for processing our
Right.
memories. So
Right.
I think that's very interesting that they're like, oh, it's an anomaly.
Right. But
Um,
in the metaphysical world,
yeah,
we compute that to a
yeah,
past life memory,
yeah,
a glitch in the matrix,
yep,
or I've even heard, uh, one thought process behind it was that interceding of timelines, like, another version of yourself,
yeah.
is having this experience, and you kind of get that divine connection at the moment where you both get zinged with that deja
Yeah.
vu experience.
And I think that also, okay, if we're going by psychology and neurology, there is a clear difference between the two too, or two,
Mm-hmm.
the
Tutu.
two, two. Because with the déjà rêvé, that taps into the brain's ability to store and recall dreams, right? So
Mm-hmm.
neurologically, it involves the brain's limbic system, okay? And that plays a role in our emotions and our memory processing. It's different. I don't know, it just
Mm-hmm.
popped in my head. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's different.
Yeah.
That even that goes even further to show that there's no way that can be considered prophesizing. There's no way you
Right.
can consider that because it's
Right.
using a
Right.
completely different part of the brain. So,
Yeah.
um, the
I
geek
think
in me
too.
just got excited. Sorry. It's like,
But I think
and
it's fascinating, right? When you look at how science explains these experiences that people are having. And I always kind of lean in that, uh, understanding that, metaphysics is always the leaderboard, and science is always catching up.
yeah.
Spirit, science is always catching up to spirit, kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I feel like this is why is another reason if you're watching this or listening to this, and you haven't yet started a dream journal, it's a good, another reason to start a dream journal.
Yeah.
If you listen to well, this will go out next week. So the last week's episode, I think that's the one where we went a little bit in depth of journaling, right? Is that the
Yeah.
one where you talked about
Yeah.
your 1,000 journals?
Get a journal. Get a
your,
journal.
your
Get a
your
journal.
1,000 different journals. So, have a separate. I do the same thing. I have separate journals for things because my brain can't compute all in one thing. It has to be
Yeah.
separate. But this is another reason to encourage you to keep a dream journal, especially if more and more individuals start having these occurrences a lot more frequently. If you
Yeah.
have a dream journal, you can go back and look at whatever that dream entailed when you're like, I swear, and I know I've heard this even just from non-metaphysical people. I swear I dreamt this. Didn't this already happen? I swear I dreamt this. And yeah,
Yeah.
if you have a dream journal, you can go back and kind of flip through your pages or
Yeah.
scroll through your app.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I'm okay. So I'm not the type to have a notebook by my nightstand because chances of me actually writing it down is not going to happen. But
Hmm.
I do have an app. So I have a journal app on my phone that
Hmm.
is just for dreams
Oh,
because
good.
it's easy, right? To just, and it's password or face ID protected. I don't get paid by these people, but it's
Yeah.
just called, I think it's just called journal app, and it can be password or face ID protected, so you don't have to worry about anybody getting into it. And it's a lot easier for me to sit and just grab my phone and type it all out as it's coming
Yeah.
back to my memory so I don't forget.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after this short break.
In the hustle and bustle of modern life, finding time for spiritual growth can be challenging. But what if there was a way to reconnect with your inner self, to find peace and clarity amidst the chaos? Introducing the Shamanic Path, your guide to spiritual development and inner peace. At the Shamanic Path, we offer a range of online courses designed to nurture your spirit and elevate your consciousness. For those just beginning their spiritual quest, to the advanced practitioners looking to expand, we are here to support you on your journey every step of the way. Discover the power of your intuition, the beauty that comes with connecting, and the joy of self-discovery. Embrace the journey to a more enlightened, balanced, and fulfilled life. Take that first step today. Visit theshamanicpaths.com and begin your journey.
But I
I
encourage everybody, keep that.
I have worked with clients who have dyslexia, so
Mm-hmm.
that can be very challenging, as you can imagine, to and frustrating to try to write
Mm-hmm.
everything out, right?
Right.
Um, you have notes, most people do, like voice notes on their
Oh,
phone.
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to use that. If like I'm a writer, so I enjoy writing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a non-issue for me. But some people don't, or some people may have some limited capacity or frustration in doing that process. And don't be afraid to pick up your phone and do voice notes. If you have
Mm-hmm.
family members that you're afraid are going to hear it or whatever, go into your bathroom, turn the water on, turn the exhaust on, and talk into it. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Round that out, and you can still have um, that recording for you to listen back and remind yourself, and you can keep track of
Mm-hmm.
the progress of it. So,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah, that's
I
a good
just wanted
idea.
to inject
Oh,
some
no,
into
that's a good idea. And
yeah.
I've even had a client before who would just get on her camera and just do short little videos and just keep it in one folder, because this client was not a writer or anything of the sort. And having to sit there and write it out was a challenge.
Mhm.
So you just flip open her camera and just do a quick recording,
Yeah.
and then go back later and dictate it back out into I think she dictated it back out to a notebook or something. But yeah, quick and easy. I mean, I'm all about, and I'm sure Charlie's all about, whatever works easiest.
Yeah.
Smarter, not harder.
Right.
you
Exactly.
know,
Exactly.
but it's a good tool when you are now aware of the difference between the two, and recognizing how often you have either of those things happening.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the similarities between the two and the differences between the two. Um, the similarities are both of them involve I think an intense, maybe strong sense of familiarity, right? Like I've experienced this. Um, Both of them can be intense, and they can both be emotionally charged experiences. Both
Mm-hmm.
are linked in some fashion to our memory and brain functions, right? Now, the differences. Déjà vu relates to the feeling that a current experience has been lived before. Déjà rêvé relates to a current experience that seems to have been dreamed about previously. Déjà vu is more common, and I think it occurs spontaneously,
Mm-hmm.
and déjà rêvé is less frequent, and typically it involves recalling specific dream content. Like you're not going to remember the whole dream, you're just going to remember this little clip, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and then we've already went through like the neurologically speaking, but
Yeah.
that's a pretty big separation between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were like, let me give you an example. Just consider these two scenarios. In one, you're walking into a bookstore and you feel like you've been there before. Um, Deja vu. In the
Mm-hmm.
other, you walk into the same bookstore and you recall dreaming about it 3 weeks ago. Like, oh, I remember walking in this bookstore, right? So the first one can involve a false, memory of a reality. And the second one involves a memory of a dream that seems to predict that reality. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Does that help
Right. Yeah.
maybe a little
Mm-hmm.
bit? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I know when I've experienced the deja rêvé, it almost also feels like you're moving through the motions and playing, it's like playing out in front of you, or you have this feeling. But I think the biggest notation for me is, and for people that I've talked about this with, this subject, or going through in their own development, is I
Mhm.
feel like, as we all know, if you are on the path of development at any level, and as you become aware of different things within your path and different metaphysical topics,
Mhm.
um, it tends to open that way, that that way up for more experiences. And I think the biggest takeaway is the dream aspect. I swear I've dreamt this before. It feels like I've dreamt this before. You don't say that with deja vu. You're like, I swear this happened before. This feels familiar, or I've experienced this. But I notice everyone says the dreamt part. I swear I dreamt this before. I had a
Mhm.
dream just like this,
Yeah.
as it's playing out, because it kind of feels surreal.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, I had a dream this happened, the dream thing is the biggest kicker.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And an interesting theory that I found out anyways. It suggests that déjà vu happens when there is like this minor delay in transmission of information from one part of the brain to the other. And then that delay occurs, and then the brain processes the information twice, once directly and once after the delay. And it creates the illusion that the event has happened before. And trust me, this is like a concrete theory, which I find laughable, but I mean that's one of their theories.
Interesting.
I know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
really, are we grasping at straws that bad now? We're saying
Right.
the brain had a glitch and it did it twice. It viewed this instant twice in one sun. I mean, come on. I don't know. I have a hard time with that one. I have
Well,
sat and chewed on it, and I'm really considering it, but I'm again, show me the MRI, show me the imaging, show
right.
me that that happened, and then we'll talk. But I want to see the proof. I know I should not be in this career because I'm like, show me the proof. But like,
Well, I mean, if it's known, what do they say that they've only really explored a certain percentage of the brain and the understanding of the vastness of the brain.
yeah,
With that alone, my mind goes, you can't leave any possibility off the table because you've only understood like this small percentage of the brain and what it's capable of doing.
yep.
So you can't tell me for sure this is it and that's the answer. And well, have you is it 100% studied and
I
known
know.
and explored?
Yeah,
No, so you can't.
yeah,
You don't have to believe it, but you can't deny the possibility. Possibilities are endless when it comes to that kind of stuff.
yeah.
So,
There has been studies done on deja vu. There
mhm.
has, but what they've done is like had them think of the occurrence of when the deja vu happened, and then they watch the brain activity, which to me it's not the same as in real time. I know that that's
Well,
very challenging to
yeah.
capture that real time, but yeah,
Well, how many times can you sit back and remember those moments of deja vu?
yeah,
No one really sits back and, oh yeah, it was exactly this and it happened this way.
yeah,
It's an experience
yeah,
and then it fades out, but you can never pull it in and recall it
yeah,
versus like prophesizing. I
exactly.
can detail
I can give
everything.
you,
I can
yeah,
follow all of it.
everything. Yeah,
I can pull in every single Claire and tell you all the stuff that happened and transpired through it. But the deja vu and even the deja rêvé, I can't recreate that to the T, you
exactly.
know?
Yeah.
So
No,
how accurate is the brain scan when you're doing that with people? You have to
exactly.
catch them in real time.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
There's another theory that they have called divided attention theory. So they are proposing that deja vu can result from divided attention. So if you're momentarily distracted, your brain is going to process the scene in the background
Mm-hmm.
without your conscious awareness. And then when you refocus your attention, the scene might feel familiar because it was
Mm-hmm.
already processed subconsciously. That sounds more believable than the previous theory in my mind.
Right,
Like,
right,
okay, I could see that if somebody disassociated,
right.
I could
Mm-hmm.
see that their brain is still processing it and they're like, oh, I feel like this has occurred. Um, so probability, maybe, but I
Right.
think again, they're just trying to find a, a physical reason for a supernatural experience. And
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes you just can't have that.
Right.
Then the next one would be neurological anomalies. So temporal lobe epilepsy is the one that I'm grasping onto, because when I read that, I was like, what the hell? They believe that people with this condition experience déjà vu as a precursor to their seizures, suggesting that there are brain anomalies that can trigger the sensation. I think that's grasping for straws again. It's obviously not it doesn't just happen to people who have seizures. So to me, that feels like it blows that theory out of the
Yeah.
water. But these are like
Right.
substantiated actual theories, scientific theories. And they even take in psychological factors. It, they think that if you have a sense of familiarity, their theory poses that the dream of the waking life will just simply share common elements, because you're exposed to them on a daily basis. So your brain is just, regurgitating that information
Hmm.
while we sleep. Again, grasping for straws.
Oh my gosh.
If you were to go into the metaphysical community, just like Krys said, reincarnation, that's a possibility, and parallel universes. I mean, there are people who believe that when you have déjà vu, it's evidence of our past life or evidence of being in a parallel universe, because that feeling of familiarity, it
Hmm.
arises because you've experienced that situation in another life or in a different dimension.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. Am I partial? I'm trying to be as impartial as possible, but again, I'm like, show me.
We'll be right back after this short break.
The proof. I've experienced deja vu many, 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 many
Hmm.
times. Many times.
Yeah. I mean, I've experienced both of them many times, and uh yeah, I can't align. I think it's all fascinating. It's all interesting. The
Hmm.
science aspect, the metaphysical aspect. And just because I am a metaphysical practitioner does not mean that I'm like, everything's 100%,
Sure. Yeah.
this, right? But because I too, even on the metaphysical scale of parallel universes, the concept of it's all on top of one timeline on top of the other, kind of all collapsing, kind of thing. Well,
Uh-huh.
even with that, or past life, uh, remembrances of things, I'm still, that's interesting. That's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
Um, it's to each his own. You're going to believe what you want to believe, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Even though I have these experiences way as far back as I can remember, um, I still take it all in as, yeah, that's, I don't know, it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
Could be, could not be.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
I
it?
know. Yeah.
So,
I mean, if whoever is, watching this and you want to like look up some of the information that we're discussing today, you could just Google University of Leeds, Leeds, and they're the ones that I am basing a lot of what I'm saying as far as neurologics and physiological aspects. That particular study, it's very interesting how they're justifying it. That's all I keep saying is it's very interesting. And I love it when you see like repeated studies, because what that tells me is that they didn't like it the first time. So they're trying to see if they can change that, if they can get more out of it. So when you see them doing, and I'm telling you, this is any scientific paper, if it's a good study, it's going to stand alone. You're not going to see repeated studies of the same thing. You're going to see large gaps in between those studies. You're not going to see them do it year after year. So I encourage people to look this up, because for them to do it not once, not twice, but 8 fucking times, that tells me
Again, what's the definition of insanity again?
They don't like the results that they're getting. They want more concrete information, and they're not getting it. So I just kind of sit back and look, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But I think we've all experienced it. Do you have a specific instance that you've experienced it?
Not, again, like not necessarily. There's a lot, but recalling anything that really stood out. I mean, only just in us having this conversation about this topic am I even realizing, oh yeah, I've had déjà rêvé a hell of a lot. But I don't, at the time, I didn't really keep dream journals or logs of things. So I really didn't look back. There's nothing for me to look back on. But I do find it helpful keeping it now that your awareness is there, because I also take it at the same, in the same context of, this is another avenue that my awareness is now at that will aid in my development. Because if you are starting to pay attention to things, I feel that when you start to pay attention to it, then spirit works with you more on it, and then it expands, and everything kind of ripples out into everything else. That's my belief system.
Yeah.
So, I think it's amazing. It's a great little fun thing to do, pay attention to when you're having deja vu and deja rêvé, because it's only going to help catalyst everything else,
Yeah.
Do you have anything that you can recall from either or?
It happens very frequently for me. It does. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm just jumping from one rock planet to the next. I don't know what's going on, but it does. It really does. Like I will, especially with people. I have like a lot of clients, and I'll meet that client and it'll be like, God, I feel like I've already done this. I know everything they're going to say. I know exactly what's going to occur. And that has happened multiple times. I mean, more than I care to admit. We went out to the lake house, and I swear to you, I had not gotten on this boat. I had never done that. And we got to a certain point, and I was like, I have fucking done this. I have been right here. I watched those kids jump off this, off of another boat.
Yeah.
Like that's a perfect instance that I can clearly remember. But I analyze everything. Most people probably aren't like that, but I do. because I'm very thoughtful about that. Okay, what about this? What do I need to pay attention to? Why do I feel like this has happened again? What would I change compared to what my memory was before? Is there something that needs to be addressed? I'm always doing that. I like
Yeah.
analyze the hell out of everything, you know?
See, I think I get lost in the sauce a little bit too much when that happens. And I'm just sitting there like, whoa. I swear I'm moving. It for me, it feels like I'm moving, I'm going through the motions and I'm moving through it, but I also have this huge sense of surrealness
Yeah.
that I just get encapsulated in. That I've already, this is all playing out. It's already happened before when I have like the déjà rêvé scenarios. And I know in my mind, my mental mind is going, trying to understand, wait a minute, we didn't actually do this yet, but it's happening. But no, we did,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And yeah, I don't think I've really analyzed it in the way that you do. Because I do
Probably
have
nobody does.
because then after the experience, right, I'm just like, oh, like moving on with life. you
It's
know. But it is. And I think for me at least, like I will have um notifications of certain clients or types of clients or things that will cross my path.
mhm.
In the astral state, absolutely. I will know it's coming before it comes. But it's not the way that you experience it, though, in the way it plays out scene for scene, like step by step.
Mhm.
Um, I get it. I receive mine in a different way than that. But the déjà rêvé, I think, is to me, it just feels like regular schmegular scenarios, like
Sure.
regular life kind of thing. But yeah, I'm I'm going to pay attention to that more because now I'm going to think, maybe am I missing something?
Yeah.
My team's probably like, oh my God, her roots are ditzy.
Well, though, I think it's just ingrained in me to like try to process as much information as I
Mm-hmm.
possibly can. So my brain starts to do that not even, I'm not even willing it. It's just become
It
such an
just does.
automatic process at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I've seen this before. Why am I experiencing this? What had happened? What are the events that I can recall that have happened after that? Am I
Mm-hmm.
sensing anything that needs to shift or change? You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's because somewhere along the line, I don't even know where I heard it, if I'm being completely honest with you. But somewhere along the line, I heard that deja vu was a chance, if you will, for you to redo it and do it correctly or something like that.
Oh, I've heard that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
where
I've
the
heard
hell
that.
I heard it, but I mean, well, I'm
I
talking
don't know. It was a long
decades
time
ago.
ago.
I heard
Yeah, it was
this.
a
Yeah.
long time ago. I heard that. But it's interesting because then I fall in, my habit is I fall into these deep conversations with my team about all the possibilities. Then
Yeah.
I start rabbit holing into,
Yeah.
oh, what if that was like a timeline collapse? Or what if that was this? Or what if
Yeah.
that was that? Riddle me this, Batman, have this work out, kind
Yeah.
of thing. As opposed to what I probably should be doing is analyzing it because I do that. I do what you do, but just in everything else in life. Everything else in life, I analyze it. uh, the scene, the context, the stuff. What am I gaining from this? Is there something I'm missing? How am I perceiving? My analytical brain goes off the charts with everything else except for this topic, it just goes, whoa, we're having an experience. And
Yeah.
then I start conversing with my team about all the scenarios and possibilities, like a rabbit hole,
Yeah.
exploring topics. And then I'm like, okay, next
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I found um, actually the dream journal to be the most helpful tool when
Yes.
you're having these experiences. So you can have something to look back on and see where was it that, and I'm always the fan of, this is why I always sound like those that know me or work with me. I'm like the biggest advocate for spirit guides and communing all day long with everything.
Oh yeah.
Work with your team constantly
Mhm.
about just regular life stuff,
Yep.
metaphysical stuff, development stuff,
Yep.
everything. Because when you do have this moment, right? And even if you don't know exactly when you had the dream, you can pull out your journal and be like, okay, help me out here. Where, let your intuition guide you. Where did I have this? Around about what time? Let's look back and record. Because again, it's just like more evidence of your development,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
So,
it's funny because as soon as you said that, I was thinking about a very specific incident, sorry. And
mhm.
I remember saying to my guy, what am I supposed to learn from that? Right.
Uh-huh.
And he's all stoic. What would you like to learn from this experience?
Oh,
And I
question with a
always feel
question.
like, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking when I did my selection. It's like, did I like intentionally go, I would like Yoda? Like, did I do that? I would like Yoda. I
Mm-hmm.
have one that's very, very Yoda, and I have one that's like he's just funny. He's hilarious. But I'm like, can I just have answers? Can I have that?
Right.
What would you like to learn from this? I would like to learn the answer. That's what I would like to
I
learn.
gotta think.
The
I
answer.
gotta think. Did if I'm a little sassy, smart assy, then
Yeah.
I probably paired with
I know.
like minded because I every time it's
Yeah.
uh I ask this question. I'm seeking this direct me in this,
Yeah.
and I just get responded with a question.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you perceive from it? And I'm like, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
still it's really great, I think. And this is an interesting topic, and who knows, maybe we're on the precipice of this becoming just a norm, deja vu, more deja rêvé.
If
um
if my what is it called, the For You page or whatever, I
mhm.
know I've created that brick by brick, but if that's anything to go by, because there is a lot. I mean, just regular everyday folks talking about it. I find it fascinating
Mhm.
because in all my years, I have never heard people bring it up like they are right now in all my
Right.
years. And that's what
Right.
like made me go, whoa, wait a minute. This is happening a lot, a lot.
Mhm.
I had a student who had watched something. Um, she watches the Dowsing Rods girl too, by the way.
Oh yes, yeah, I love her.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
So she was watching her and she's like, I swear, I already knew what she was going to say before it happens. It was like deja vu. And this was 2 days ago. This was
Mhm.
after we already decided to do this.
Mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And she's like, I already knew that she was going to do that, but she didn't like her response, kind of thing. She's like, maybe that's why it stuck with me, because I didn't like the
Mm.
response. It was like a presidential thing. So,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I think I think people send in
yeah,
questions, right? And she
they
just
do. Yeah,
reads the questions.
yeah.
But yeah, I love watching. I like watching that. I take those kinds of videos as opportunities to exercise your
Yeah,
intuition.
yeah. I also
Anytime
think
you're
it's,
seeing that.
yeah, I think it's great entertainment. And I
Mhm.
use that term very loosely. I'm not saying that what she's doing, she is not experiencing or anything like that. I'm not saying that she's wrong. I'm not saying that she's right. That's why I'm calling it entertainment. I think
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
fascinating. I love it. I've done dowsing rods for many
Yeah.
things, but um she is just she has completely surrendered to the process, and I love watching her energy as she
Mhm.
is experiencing it. I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And I like those. I love watching her, and I'll sit there and use that as like a little minute of just intuitive exercise,
Yeah.
working out your own clairs. Because
Yeah.
she'll ask the question and I'll just pop off with an answer in my own head and
Yeah.
see what it swings to. Um, I think that's fun. There's other kinds of stuff on there too that I think is good for intuitive exercising and
Hmm.
just looking at and I guess this is also the point that we make with everything in development is it's fun. Make it fun. you know Even with the topic that we're talking about today, as you allow yourself to just experience more and more of it, just take it as it's good fun research if you keep a log and
Yeah.
then you go back and look, because it's only going to further your own self in your development and expand your energy and your clairs even more.
Absolutely.
But don't put pressure on yourself to have to understand it all, because
No,
we're never going to understand
no,
it
I could be
all.
here many, many lifetimes, not learn it all, not know it all, not experience it all.
Hmm.
That's what I believe. I think we're all muddling through the experience and trying to garner what we can, you know?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Any final tips or thoughts or anything of the sort on deja vu and deja rêvé?
I don't think so. I think that the phenomenon just serves as a reminder of the complexities of this human existence. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Existence on this freaking rock.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
But
Well,
fun
it's fun.
experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games. Well, thank you for joining us for this week's episode. We appreciate your presence. And if this resonated with you, or you know somebody who it may resonate with or may be helpful to, or maybe this is something that has come to your awareness, now that wherever you are in your development, we always appreciate the energetic exchange of liking and sharing, commenting, uh, rating uh,
Yeah.
our episodes, or what is it, the thumbs up thing on
Yeah.
YouTube. Um, Liking that. Oh, that's liking, duh.
Yeah.
See, a little
Do
dissy,
all the
but
things. Do all the
all of the things, we
things.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
So thank you for your presence, and until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.